What is up, Wizards fans? Welcome to another Believe in Wizards podcast. I'm Matt Modderno. He's Jahadi White. Jahadi, it's a relatively big day here in DC, I think, for basketball fans. Bradley Beal makes his return, the first one back in DC. So we'll get into all that. But first, just how's it going? How's your weekend so far?
Oh man, the weekend's good. Weekend's good. A lot of basketball.
That's
Had two
good.
basketball games this weekend for high school. So, preparing for that. One was Friday night, one was Saturday, early Saturday afternoon. So,
Okay.
that's
It's
two
a quick
back to back.
turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah, quick turnaround.
Those kids at that age, though, they probably don't even feel it, right? There's no icing at that point in their lives or anything, is there?
Oh, they feel it because
Okay.
you fit. I'm obviously it's not like college or really like NBA where it's just a lot of games, but
Yeah.
this year it seems like more college teams are having a lot of back-to-back games.
Yeah.
And so I've seen, a lot of high school teams having a lot of
Okay.
back-to-back games. And so that's not normal for high
Yeah, sure.
school. But, it's just somehow this year, and I was talking to a lot of other high school coaches, and they was like, yeah, man, it's a lot of back-to-backs this year. So it's guess it's kind of new way of scheduling where now they're forcing a lot of back-to-backs with high school kids, which prepares you, but I don't know how healthy or good it is.
Yeah, I guess when you got a growing body and stuff too, like that's probably not a good thing. Like kids that tall too always have like the little knee bands on and stuff because they're growing so quick. Like
Yeah.
that's actually probably not
Yeah,
not
I
safe for
make
the
I
long term.
make all the kids get in a cold whirlpool.
Yeah, that's smart.
They go get in the
Honestly,
cold whirlpool, sit in there for about 25 minutes.
it's a
They
good
had a
time.
trainer, hey, look, let it get up as cold as it can,
Mhm.
without messing up the regulation. Don't lose your job, but let it get up.
Right. Yeah. But that's smart. Yeah, let them learn that now. I mean, they're gonna have to do that in college, so it's basically like getting a head start on taking care of yourself, and that's a good
Hmm.
thing. Very cool. Well, more basketball to talk about here, so appreciate you having a basketball marathon for us. Before we get going, brought to you by Stateside Vodka and the Surfside Hard Iced Teas, Hard Lemonades, Hard Everything, and BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and match reports for baseball, boxing, UFC, golf, tennis, obviously the NBA, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place all your wagers, including live betting, your favorite casino and card games, available right from your phone. And you go to the website. Use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. All right, so Wizards are 9-39. They're trending up, though. They've won 2 of their last 5 since Wes was removed and Brian Keefe was installed. They've looked largely more competitive. I unfortunately went to that Clippers game and was sitting up close, and that one got away from them a little bit. But, John, I think that's more the Clippers are really, really good, too, especially with most of their guys healthy. But what have you seen from the Wizards with Coach Keefe? Any improvement from your perspective?
Actually, I have seen some improvement with the Wizards, offensively and defensively. I think we're moving more sound offensively, lot more movement on offense with all the players. I see a new wrinkle in that top screen where they're doing a lot of screening up top, and then they're right off of that top screen. There's always another player diving and another player popping,
Mhm.
which looks like some good action there. Um, and it's what I really see on offense is a lot of challenging.
Okay.
Right now, we're challenging each other.
Mhm.
Right, it could be vocal or it can be competitive wise.
Gotcha.
Right,
Okay.
so all of a sudden we're getting a lot of offensive rebounds all of a sudden, right?
Yeah,
And that's
for sure.
because Bagley is there now. Bagley is there now. It's challenging your position as a starter, which
Yep.
you didn't have to worry about that before.
It's
Now
true.
somebody's saying, okay, you breathing up your neck. If this guy gets more than me, then now it can question my job. So now
Yeah.
I better go out there and raise my level of offense and offense and offensive rebounds and cuts and screens, right? So which somehow not only we get more out of Gafford, somehow we get more out of Kuzma because of that situation too, right?
Yeah.
Um, defensive wise, first thing I noticed, defensive wise, is we're getting back really fast,
Mhm.
right? Remember, we were
Yeah, transitions has
lollygag
been
back on defense, and that we're getting back so we won't let the we kind of take away those fast break points or quick points. So now the opposing team has to play in a half court set.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's first. I do see Poole chasing a lot more now, being attached to his man.
Yeah.
Chasing him a lot, not really falling over those screens and just playing those
Giving
screens
up completely.
like this, like using those screens as an excuse. He's fighting over those screens now. So I noticed that as well. So I'm seeing some of the things that Keefe is putting in already, and seeing now where they grow. Right, and it makes us more of a competitive team. We still not pulling off all the games like we need to, which that's not, you're going to have to add more than that to bring another edge, and so we can get over that hump. But I see us competing on both ends now.
Do you think that's just like an artificial bump right after the coaching change, or do you think this is something that they can maintain for the rest of the season here?
So that's the question I was asking myself. I would say it would be an artificial bump if it's not specifics.
Okay.
The reason I say it's not an artificial bump because it's specific things that are being added that's the boost. Other than the only bump that I think we're getting more that's not coach related is the offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and that's a Bagley thing, I think, to some part. And it's made, like you said, Gafford's had to be more aggressive on some of those things too.
When your biggest competitor becomes a teammate, that changes the whole trajectory of things.
That's true.
Right now, the dynamic of your comfortability has just changed completely.
Yeah.
Right. So now Gafford has to put up numbers. He has to get offensive rebounds, or his job can be replaced with another guy who's coming in making noise.
It's true.
Right. There are certain days Gafford wouldn't give you, and you may leave with 8 and 3.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not getting that.
He can't risk having those nights anymore. So now he's like, I can't even have those nights. Right now, that creates a lot more because now he's going to be setting more screens. He's going to be rolling harder. He's going to be in a dunker spot, getting his bodies in position, to be able to get more offensive rebounds, which turns to more putbacks, which turns to more second chance opportunities at the basket for everybody. Right. So now we're getting second shots when we didn't used to.
Yep. Yeah, I wondered if that was also schematic on their part as well. A lot of NBA teams just don't offensive rebound. They're just like, we'd rather get back in transition because the chance of us getting an offensive board is pretty low. But Bagley is definitely crashing the glass more on the offensive end. So I don't know if that's them saying we want you to do that more, or that's a stylistic choice from Keefe, or it's just something he just does naturally, and it's an effort thing. I don't know. What do you think? It's a little both, maybe?
I think it's Bagley coming here have to prove his worth.
Okay.
Right, his value. Hey, I got to show this team. So it's all about Bagley being able to stay consistent. Right? You know how I said, I always say, when a new player comes to a new team, you get this super player for at least half a month.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or a month.
And
then he slowly dies down. So if Bagley doesn't slowly die down and either stay consistent or grow in his role or and his stats that he's bringing offensively, offensive rebounding and scoring, rebounding in general as well, then that keeps the fire on everyone else.
Yep.
Right? That happens. Now everybody has to play a higher role because now, like, days that you don't have it, you got to bring it.
Yep. Yeah, this may sound kind of dramatic, but for Bagley, this might be it. I mean, if you wash out of 3 teams in your first contract, that's kind of it. Guys will have that you're typecast into that guy. You're no longer a former number 2 pick. You're the fourth team journeyman. So for him, he needs this to work out, I think. And we're seeing the effort kind of reflected in that Since the trade, the Wizards have gone from 28th in offensive rebounds and second chance points to top 15 in both categories. So that just says a lot right there. Like they've either emphasized it more or Bagley is having sort of that kind of impact. And I think you nailed it. I think Gafford has been more aggressive going after rebounds specifically since Bagley's joined the team. So I hope that keeps up. I hope this is a thing we're here to see because honestly, they're not winning a ton more, obviously. Like the two teams they beat, they probably should beat. But the games have been more watchable for the most part. Like the Heat game, it was kind of a brick fest, but they were in it for, the vast majority of that game. And obviously, like it sort of broke away from them at the end, but I'd kind of expect that. But at least it was like a very entertaining first half and some change.
It was a good, that Heat game was a good game, first half, especially first half.
Neither team could hit shit, but at least it was competitive.
Yeah. I was concerned about how the middle was wide open though. I didn't get that. So like, you saw that the game was just so many dunks that the Heat had open wide dunks from Bam. Yeah. And I'm like, well, why is that? So I'm thinking they're trying to work out something where Gafford is doing a lot of helping. Yeah. But what it's doing is keeping the middle and the paint completely open. So they got to figure that one out.
They're helping less on the perimeter, it seems like. Guys are kind of not cheating over as much, and I think I've seen them switch a little less on things. They're trying to make them fight through screens more on the perimeter, but that also kind of leaves Gafford a little bit more exposed sometimes too when guys come running at him with a full head of steam. And
right.
That could get ugly quickly, I think. And for a guy like him that's been kind of foul prone, I think we've seen him rack up a couple already that you're like, we might be in trouble here. And if either of them, like Marvin Bagley is out for today's game, if Gafford gets in foul trouble, we're going to be seeing a lot of Patrick Baldwin Jr., I guess. And I don't know if he's up for that against a veteran Suns team, let's say.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. We'll definitely see.
Got a couple mini quotes here for you, but we talked about defensive intensity and things like that. So Ava Wallace of the Washington Post asked Brian Keefe, or asked the players about Brian Keefe, and Kyle Kuzma said that Keefe's attention to detail is insane. With him, all the little things matter, and said that they've had a practice solely focused on mental discipline. I don't know what that means. I would have liked a follow-up question to that. Would have been an interesting one. But Coulibaly also said that the mental-centric practice that they had focused on, well, defensively, we had to change some things, and we had to be really focused on that so there's no mistakes on the court. That helped us, and we won 2 in a row. And then Bijan Todd from Monumental Sports reported that one. So I don't know. I mean, at least the players feel like maybe what they're doing under Keefe so far is helping. And even if it's just placebo effect for a while, I think that goes a long way too.
It does, but I'd like to see what a practice fully focused on mental discipline.
What that means?
Like. What is that? Like,
yeah,
that sounds interesting.
I mean,
it sounds like a good, if it's effective and you have some new state-of-the-art type of schemes to make them literally focus on mental discipline. You know how many kids how many players in general need that practice?
Yeah.
Whatever that is. So I would love to see that.
All right. I'll see if I can get to the bottom of it for you.
Yeah. Does it translate? I don't know.
Yeah.
I do see them trying to do more things defensively, individually though.
Yeah.
Not so much on a string type of thing, but individually, Jordan Poole fighting over screens, attached to the guy, showing a little bit harder or things like that. As a system wise, I don't see a exponentially better defensive team.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least.
I'm with you.
I see people taking their roles defensively, being more accountable for their roles defensively.
Hey, that's enough. That's a start, at least, right? I mean, that's better than we were seeing.
Yeah.
All right. So let's back it up to this Bradley Beal thing here for a minute. Obviously, he's here for 11 seasons. He played 635 regular season games, and in that time, became the franchise's all-time leader in three-pointers with 1,514, second in points, 15,391, field goals, 5,624, steals, 772, and he's top 5 in like 5 other categories. So this dude kind of, I mean, he racked up stats, right? Like the Wizards didn't really win a ton, but I don't think you can put that solely on Beal. Like, so as a fan, my perception of Beal is a very good player that the organization treated like a star player or a franchise player that maybe he wasn't. And he became a little bit of a victim of his own contract at a certain point. Like fans said, this is not a max contract guy in terms of production. And the team built around him like he was. And I just he's not a guy that could carry a team by himself. He needed more help. They didn't get it. They did stupid stuff to kind of mortgage the future around him. So they couldn't build talent cheaply to fill out the rest of these lineups. And he paid the price for it a lot of times. And I think by the end, it just kind of seemed like he was ready to go and the timing seemed right. So I'm happy for Beal. I wish him well, but I am glad that he is not a Wizard currently. I don't know, Jahadi, what's your take on this?
Well, I think the fans are upset at the wrong people.
I agree.
Right? I mean, what did Beal do
always
wrong?
The org's fault. Yeah, exactly.
He maxed his contract out. He did a great contract. He put everything he had on the line for the team.
Yep.
Right? He played hard every night. You know, he put up numbers. He was a absolute professional.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A professional, good guy, good teammate.
Yep.
What did he do wrong? What did
he
not
give?
What did he not give the fans?
Right.
Right. So to me, I think his comeback should be welcome. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The fans should appreciate him because he played a lot through a lot of injuries. He was hurt a lot. He get fans gotta realize the sacrifice of this game a lot too. Right. And some guys were like, man, and I'm hurt. I got paid. I can just sit out.
Right.
And some guys like, no, I have an obligation to the team. Got an obligation to the fans. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm a professional. I have an obligation to do what I'm getting paid to do.
Yep.
And I think he did that to the fullest. I think he's the poster guy for that. And they should welcome with open arms and a standing ovation. Me personally, that's what I feel.
I think that'll be mostly the case. I think it'll be a overwhelmingly positive reaction, but I think there will be some boos, and I think people will largely be directing that at how things played out during his time here. And again, that's not solely a reflection of him. Like that's you're right. You're mad at the wrong people. That's Ted Leonsis' fault. I mean, honestly,
like how's that Bill's fault for making sure he get the best contract possible?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How is he making sure that he gets great clauses in his contract? That's a great agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Great negotiation. Any player, if they can get Bill's contract and work and with those clauses that he had in there, they'll do it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
That's not the player's fault.
Yep. I got traded to another group in my office, and I was salty about it. So if I'd had a no trade clause, I would have happily taken it. So I totally get it. Brad, when asked sort of about what it would be like to be back, said, being back in the building, seeing familiar faces, I have no idea what to expect, to feel, but I'm kind of going in with just an open mind, open heart, embracing all the feels, embracing the love, whatever I get, being thankful for the moments that we had here and just to take it all in. Thought that was a nice quote. It's tough because I don't like patting myself on the back or kind of gaslighting myself. I just want to take my time and embrace what I did in DC and just be in the moment. That's what my biggest goal is for this game. Thought that was a pretty good quote.
I think it's the most honest quote you can give too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you spent that much time in a city and it's your first city, I think Brad has a honest, pure love for DC.
I agree.
And the people, the fans of the Wizards and the fans who gave it back to him. I think it's pure and I think it's real. And so, when you leave a city that's been there so long, even when I left Washington, so after playing there so long, it was tough.
Yeah.
And when you came back, it was almost it felt like you were home.
Mm-hmm. But weird, right?
And weird. It felt really weird. It felt like you were home and weird. Like you almost you almost wanted to play for you felt like you were playing for the fans.
Yeah.
The Wizard fans, for them to make them happy, even though you're
Sure.
on a different team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be different, But I just say, man, play hard, man. Lay it out on the floor. Give the fans what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give the
Put on a
fans,
show.
yeah, put on the show, and make them remember who what you did for the city.
Mm-hmm.
That he loved the city.
Honestly, I appreciated him coming out and saying this move to Virginia is stupid. Ted, please don't do it. Like, I mean, that
But
carries some weight.
but the only reason he would care about that or even speak on that because he feels so attached.
Yeah. Yeah.
That lets you know how attached he still feels with the Wizards.
Right.
And how could he not?
I agree. Yeah.
In Brad's heart, I know he plays for Phoenix, and he's going to play his heart out for Phoenix because he's a professional. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But the Wizards is his home, and DC is his home. Even though he's from St. Louis, like me, like but when you play for a city a long time, and you raised your family there, your kids there, your beautiful wife and your beautiful kids, that's your home.
Mm-hmm.
That's your home. That's where you laid your foundation down.
Yeah.
And so he just gets to come home. He's playing at home. And he feels like it's part of, like he put one of the bricks or two bricks in that foundation of the Wizards during that entire time.
Is the first one, like we just said, the first time back is definitely weird. Are they always weird, or is it just like the first one is definitely the most different? Like, whoa, this feels weird in the other locker room kind of feeling.
The first one is the weirdest.
Okay.
First, it's the weirdest, and you sit there and you're warming up and just looking around. It's surreal.
Yeah.
You're looking around, and what's more weird is when you come back and most of your teammates that you left are still there on this team. So it's weird now looking at your same teammates.
Those are my guys.
With this entire time, and you're the guy that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you want to go do all the all that.
Yeah.
But it's a part of you want to go down and shoot with them.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually interesting, and I hadn't thought about it. There's a decent amount of turnover even from when Brad was here, but there's still guys, right? Like the Denny's and the Kuzmas and the Gaffords and the Kisperts. Like he'll have dudes. So
right.
I think they'll receive him well also, and that'll be cool. I had in my rundown here, and it's just an idiotic question for me to put on here. I was going to say, does he get a tribute video? Of course he gets a tribute video. We gave Raul Neto a tribute video, so of course Bradley Beal is going to get.
He better get a tribute video.
Yeah. It's probably more like, but better question to ask if he gets a statue out front while we're here too. But I guess if you're, Todd, I don't know how this worked for you, but like the first time you came back, probably emotional, sitting in, sitting there waiting for the game to kick off and they're doing intros and stuff. If you're Brad, would you rather them get like the video out of the way up front, in the middle, at the end? Like, I guess, what's the best time to do this so that it doesn't just like totally take you out of things?
Get out the way. Get everything out the way so I can play ball.
Got it.
Tribute video, get all the standing ovation, the boos, the cheers, all that. Yeah. Get it out the way so when the ball goes up, I can focus on the game.
Right.
And what's weird is, I think what was the most weird was having to be in the visitors' locker room.
Is it drastically shittier at Capital One Arena? I've never actually walked in the visitor locker room.
Visitors' locker room is not the same.
Yeah.
So that's another shitty part. And then the more you play, the more you come back and play against the Wizards, things change, right? The players change. You get less players that you used to play with. Now it just slowly just becomes, another team you're playing against.
Gotcha. They asked Beal about that piece, about the sort of reception beforehand, and he said, I'm going to try and find ways to balance it and not get too rattled, especially if they're doing it before the game. I want to try to stay locked in as much as possible. I'm sure it'll be a special moment. I'll embrace it all and be ready to go. So I think that's exactly what you said. For Brad, he's been struggling a little bit here. He had his nose broken at the end of January, so like a week and some change ago. Apparently got smacked in the face pretty hard the other night too. But since suffering that injury, he's gone 3 of 27 from 3. So for him, this is probably a perfect like time for a get right game against the Wizards. And if you're Phoenix, like you can't afford to lose this game to Washington. They're currently 28 and 21. They're 6th in the Western Conference. They're 6 games back of first place, which sounds pretty good, but they're also like 1.5 games ahead of like 9th place. So a loss here would definitely set them back pretty far. So I guess any predictions for the game today and how you think it'll play out?
I think it'll be a good game.
Okay.
A good game especially a good game for all the guys who played together, right? The guys who played with Brad, they're going to up their level of play just naturally, right? Because it's going to be more personal.
Yep.
The guys who play with Brad now, Booker and KD, they're going to defer to Brad a little bit more tonight, right? So they want to really get him into the game, get him going. So he's going to probably take early shots tonight, early in the beginning of the game. They want to get him involved, get him on, make some misses, go ahead and get him out the way. So now we can get you in rhythm for the game. So it's going to be a really good game tonight, either way.
I hope so. I think that's gonna even better for him coming back if it's like, he performs well in a game where people were actually competitive. If it's over at halftime, that's kind of a bummer. And to your point, both Durant and Booker kind of said like, yeah, we want this one for Brad. Like we want to get him going. So I think that should help. I think the only thing that maybe just kind of holds this back from being a good game is just the injury report. And I probably should have led with this, but so today, Coulibaly and Tyus Jones are both questionable. So Coulibaly has a lower back contusion. Tyus Jones sprained an ankle. Kuzma is out with a mysterious sore left shoulder injury. Marvin Bagley out with a lower back contusion. And Isaiah Livers is still out with a hip injury. So they're going to be light on bodies. They recalled Patrick Baldwin and Johnny Davis from the Go-Go. I would expect both of them to play a little bit in this game, honestly. So I don't know, just the idea of like Jordan Poole having to guard either Booker or Beal, even though he's been a little better from the effort perspective, that could be tough, especially if you don't have any of these other guys to kind of mix in here and pick up some of the slack too.
Well, see that can be good, but that can also be worse for either team.
Okay.
Reason being is when you have to play against those young guys who haven't got a lot of time. We got a lot of big names out.
That's true. Yeah, they're ready to go, right?
Those guys can be inexperienced in certain ways, but they know the game.
Yep.
And they always have something to prove. Right? So you end up playing a 10 times tougher game than you thought you would have, right? If they play together, and if they go get it. And before you know it, somebody's end up with 20 points and and you
don't know might have 30 today.
And you don't know who to scout, so now that it changes the entire scouting report up as far as, we don't really know what this guy does. Yeah. We don't know who, coach it's, with the coaches. So on Phoenix, right? It messes their scout report up.
Yeah. Patrick Baldwin, who? Yeah.
Right. So you can end up thinking there may be a blowout. You can think of like, we can be in a situation where the Lakers, when AD and LeBron sat down, they'll blow you out.
Exactly.
And you can really find yourself in that situation. So it'd be good. This could be a good game for the Wizards, a really good game for the Wizards, surprisingly, or it can end up being a bad game for the Wizards because it's a whole lot of new players that haven't played a lot that's out of sync. It can go either way.
That's a great point. And I think that'll say a lot about Brian Keefe, too, if he has these guys kind of come out ready to go and take on the challenge, especially if they're the younger dudes.
Well, you don't have to motivate these guys.
Right. They're just motivated because they don't play, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you got everybody who's got an engine revving that haven't played.
Yeah, true.
The engine's going to be revving. So you got to understand that. So now you playing against, and they all basketball players. So and they all good because they're in the NBA. So it's just like, hey, are they going to play together, or it's going to be just a wild fest?
Mhm.
So let's see how it turns out.
I think this seems like a very good time for, like, a big Jordan Poole game. I like, guys are out. It's a bright stage against these other big time guards. If he went for 30 tonight, it wouldn't really shock me. I don't know how efficient it'll be, but, uh, I don't know. And Kispert's been playing really well
I think
too,
if
so
Jordan Poole goes for 30 and he looks to go for 30,
yeah, it's
it's going
bad
to
for
be a
us.
bad game for him. Because we got to involve the
Yeah,
guys who
for sure.
haven't played.
Yeah.
And if they feel like they're not involved, it's going to be a Jordan. If it's I never seen a Jordan Poole show that turns out well.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
Right?
not in his time in Washington at the very least.
Nah, I just don't. Nah.
Yeah, Kispert was really good the other night. I'd expect him to kind of keep the good play going here too. Looks confident. Looks like he's ready to go at people, and I think that would be nice to see another one of those. For him, it's the consistency. Like right, like this is what we talked about with Denny last year. Like he'd have a good game, he'd have two kind of meh games, he'd have a really good game or two in a row, then a meh game. Like just want to see steady, and he's been a lot more steady this year. I think for Kispert, you'll see pockets of this for a while and then a couple like 6-point games in a row. And you're like, where's that guy? So I think if he can back it up with another big time game, like that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, Kispert's been in a funny situation all season to
Yeah.
where he knows the amount of time he's going to get every game,
Mm,
right? And he knows. And what's changing is the people he played. His teammates keep changing,
yeah. Right.
right?
That's true. Yeah.
So it's hard to get in a rhythm when you're not always consistently playing with the same players, right?
Mm,
Because so starting five know
yeah.
who
They're
the
locked
starting
in.
five is going to be. They getting in the
Yeah.
rhythm. They know where one is going to be, how one plays out. When you don't ever get that solid rhythm on the floor, understanding your teammates, because it's
Mhm.
always a different teammate, it's hard for you to then just say, well, let me just do my thing. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So he's kind of been in a tough position all season. Coulibaly, at least he knows, okay, I'm going in for a particular player, and I'm going to start off with the first unit.
Yeah.
Right. And then with slowly new players come in, and so I know this how it goes.
Mhm.
So Kispert just has to be able to start determining a rhythm for himself. And like, let me try to, if he can get a rhythm and something that's consistent,
Mhm.
with his teammates, he'll be fine.
I think especially with the way Kispert plays, right? Like he kind of needs other guys to set him up a little bit more, and
Yep.
and historically has been more of a catch and shoot guy. So it's just if people aren't getting into you in your shooting pocket or the right side of the floor or where
Mm-hmm.
where you like to catch it and maybe like one step to the right first, like that kind of stuff, I think is really big for someone
Yeah.
like him.
When you don't, when you're not a player that creates your own, you got to depend on other players. It's tough.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, Will said in the chat, Kispert's been playing with DeLon on the second unit too. Love DeLon, but he hasn't been an effective distributor with that unit. I agree. Like I have a lot of DeLon right stock, but he's been more shot hunting this year than we've kind of seen from him in his time in Washington so far. So I don't know. Maybe he starts the night if Tyus is out, and maybe that's actually better for him. I think that's actually probably a better fit, and you could have Tyus. If he did play limited minutes, I don't know that we'll see what that looks like. But
Within the team is always that underlining competition within the players in the same position.
mhm.
So now Tyus is becoming more of a shooter,
Yeah. So now
a
DeLon has to
scorer.
show he can do it
The
too.
line
Right?
was like, I got to be able to compete to sustain,
Hmm.
right? And so what happens is now he's putting the ball up more.
Yep.
Now, what you expect from DeLon, you're not getting, and it's throwing the rest of the teammates out of rhythm.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, just move the ball, play defense, hit open catch and shoot jumpers if you get a look at them. The end.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
It's not as fun though, right?
Yeah, the big thing for players, the big fight for players is, do I do what's best for the team, or do I do what's best for me?
Sure. Yeah.
Now, sometimes that helps both situations out.
Mm.
Sometimes those situations are on two complete different spectrums, where if I do one, I'm gonna let one is gonna not be good for me. If I do the other, it may not be good for the team, right? So it's now a conflict of contractually or wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made this point a couple weeks ago, and in my mind, it was always like, well, if I'm a team thinking about trading for a DeLon Wright, I would want to see him facilitate more and defend more and things like that. But if these guys are not watching Washington exclusively and they see, oh, DeLon Wright, 2.2 points per game, I'm not going to trade for that guy. But if he's averaging
or you
8 or
don't
8
have
to
any
10 a game,
negotiation. You don't have any negotiation leverage.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta help yourself enough, and you have to have some numbers to do that, whether you're playing your role perfectly or not. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so let's circle back to this Kuzma thing. Heard nothing about the shoulder, and now all of a sudden he's out for this game. And it just so happens during all of this reporting that Kuzma is like the hot guy on the trade deadline right now. We see Zach LaVine is out for 4 to 6 weeks. Like there aren't a ton of big names left that some team could go out and get. We've seen some reporting about the Mavericks. I'll get into a couple of the, specific options here that have come up. But do you buy that? Like, I think the timing is interesting here. That he's got a non-shooting shoulder injury all of a sudden, 4 days before the deadline. You think there's any smoke or any fire to this smoke, or do you think it's probably just a legit thing?
I think it's a 5-alarm blazing inferno.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. These kids, I mean, these players know what they're doing. They smart. They talk to their agents. Their agent, man, sit out. Right. Right.
Doesn't that come from the team sometimes too? Like if we know we're about to trade you, like, hey, just
no.
No, the team always wants you on
The
it.
team don't tell you anything, right?
No,
Kuzma is reading every article written about him trading.
That's
he
true.
knows what's
He is
up.
very online. Yeah.
He's talking to his agent.
Yeah.
His agent saying they're looking to trade you heavily. They're really, putting your name out there, seeing what they're getting. They're changing. They went from 2 first rounds to now they don't, the value they asking now for less value than they were, which now saying, damn, they with his mind saying, oh, they really want to push me out.
Gone.
There.
Yeah.
Right. So let me first of all save my body.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all-star break is coming up too. Right, All-Star weekend is coming up soon, where I can possibly still save my body some more. But it's what is he just like? Look, let me save my body. Why am I going to put something on the floor? I mean, they professionals. Kuzma professional,
sure.
But yeah, no, this is a 5-alarm blazing inferno forest fire. Like this, this is some like this is. He knows what he's doing.
Yep. No, I think you're right. You mentioned it there too, and I think it's a big one. The reporting from The Athletic is that the Wizards are no longer demanding 2 first-round picks, and the asking price may be lower. League sources maintain Washington has been holding out for 2 first-round picks, though team sources indicate that is somewhat overblown. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So maybe that's a young player, a recent first-round pick and a first-round pick and some salary or something like that. And then one of the other sort of reported deals specifically, the Mavericks have been kind of thrown out there a lot. They have a number of young players that could appeal to the Wizards, from last year's number 24 overall pick, Olivier Maxence Prosper, to third-year guard Jaden Hardy, to the recently extended Josh Green. And then Kevin Gray Jr., a Mavs insider, said a Mavs source he talked to today believes that they have the leadership and hierarchy in Dallas to absorb Kuzma as a player and personality. As it was put to me, Kuzma seems to be a big fan of Jason Kidd, who was a Lakers assistant when Kuzma won the NBA title in LA. So that's an interesting one. Mark Stein had some reporting on this very same thing. So that's the name that's come up the most recently here. But it actually kind of makes sense for Washington. Like they have a first to give you. They've got some toolsy young guys with some upside. So if you're going to make a move, like this one I don't hate, I guess, at least on paper. But I also wouldn't be in a hurry to do it.
Talking about Dallas?
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah, they got some good guys. What they have? Josh Green, Jaden Hardy.
Yeah,
right.
Omax, the young
kid
who doesn't really play too much yet.
Yeah, Omax. I mean, they have some good guys, and you have to understand what the Wizards are trying to do.
Yep.
If I'm a player, and I'm like, you know what? They're trying to blow this thing completely up. They're not trying to do it small, a little bit, 1-2 players. They're trying to just let's
clean
just
house.
throw a bomb in here.
Yep.
Let's throw a bomb in the locker room and bow. Let's get everybody out. Now, let's bake this cake from scratch.
Yeah, with our ingredients. Yeah.
And so, with our own ingredients, right? Our ways, however we do it. So, knowing that as well, players understand that. You know what? In the end of the day, I'm out of here.
Right.
Some way, somehow, may take longer than they want, but I'm out. So let me make sure that my stats are right. I got those looking pretty good now.
Sure.
Let me chill out.
So going back to that point, but also the previous combo there, Kuzma's counting stats are up. The points per game in the last, under Brian Keefe, are up. Things like that are up. The efficiency is way down. The shooting has been basically bad all calendar year. The defense has been less, impressive, I guess, or less existent is probably a better way to put that. If I'm another team, I would be like, I don't know that I want Kuz the gunner necessarily, but do they care? I guess that we think we could bring you in here to a real team that's trying to win something and know he'll be a professional enough to fit in.
Certain teams are going to act like they care.
Okay.
Other teams know what the hell they're getting.
Yeah.
It's part of negotiation. We're going to try to throw out every bad thing you've done. In the end of the day, I'm still Kyle Kuzma.
Right. I'm on a great contract. Leverage. Yeah.
That's my leverage. I'm Kyle Kuzma, and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm still one of the top 20 players in the league. You know what I'm saying? You want this. Dallas definitely wants it. It makes so much sense for Dallas. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a really good fit, honestly.
Right? So with that understanding, let's talk turkey.
Right. What does it take to get this done?
Yeah, because in the end of the day, I know what you want, and I know what I bring to your system, which you desperately need.
Yeah,
and then you get a big three.
Yeah, right. It's good for marketing.
Come on, it's the best marketing.
Yeah,
I know what I'm bringing to the table. I'm putting asses in the stands.
Exactly. Yeah, and hey,
and
Jason Kidd knows him.
And more buckets in the when you got Kyrie sitting out.
Yep. And Luka doesn't have to score 75.
Yeah, I'm making that up.
Yeah. But yeah, as a coach, hey, I can integrate this guy on the fly because I know what he's about. I know he watches a lot of film. I know he's a good leader. He's good in the locker room, all that kind of stuff too.
Right.
The other big name that's kind of routinely coming up here is Tyus Jones. So this stat came from Wizards broadcast director Rich Wolf, and I stole it from Chase Hughes, who tweeted that out. Actually, no, I think Bijan Todd tweeted out at Monumental. But Tyus Jones has 93 assists and just 8 turnovers in his last 10 games. He's the first player in the last 22 years to have 90-plus assists and less than 10 turnovers in 10 games, and just the 4th player since 1984 to do that. So he's been great at valuing the ball, been really efficient. And that's why his name keeps coming up. And the Wizards are reportedly holding out for a first-round pick. That's been, the kind of routine reporting for a month now is just get us a first, and then we'll talk. Now it seems like that's starting to soften a little bit here. Jake Fisher at Yahoo said that rival executives believe the Wizards will be willing to trade Tyus Jones for multiple second-round picks. Washington's original asking price was a first. And then a couple other outlets have said that the Timberwolves are a name to pay attention to. And they reportedly offered 4 second-round picks for Tyus Jones, but Washington kind of held firm and chose not to pull the trigger on the 4 second-round picks. So I guess, I don't know. I don't know where that leaves me. It's either you're probably not going to do better than 4 second-round picks if you're not going to get a first-round pick. So if you're not willing to make the deal for 4, I'm not really sure what else they'd be holding out for at this point.
I'm not getting 4 second-round picks.
Okay.
First of all.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm not giving Tyus Jones up just for anything. Tyus Jones has been valuable to this team.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I think Wizards, if they're smart. They need to understand the value that Ty. He's one of the guys that we can't give him up. We're fine with keeping him.
And
To
just
me,
try to re-sign him in the offseason to
yeah, because he's really shown a lot this year. Very unexpected, but he's given a lot to his team. He's the guy that you can bank on still being sound in the future. So he wouldn't be an easy give up for me personally, as a team. So I have to get something comparable or better in value, right? Or something that I know I can grow with, even if it's two guys in the future.
Yeah,
because you don't get that non-turnover ratio. You don't get that in the NBA easily, right? You don't get that shot, that field goal percentage from a point guard,
from
you
a
don't
little
get
guard.
That. Yeah. So, man, you tripping trying to give him up for anything. He's one of those guys saying, we can straddle this fence. Either he good staying, and if we can get some quality, we hate to give him up, but we'll be okay. But if not, we're just not going to give a player up like Tyus Jones, especially the way he's been contributing this season to our team.
Yep. No, I agree. I wouldn't be in a rush to, like, if they don't trade him and then he leaves, like, they'll get crushed. But also, you have to have that conversation with him and his agent. Like, is this something you're amenable to? Because you can offer him something that almost no one else in the league can offer him. One, probably more money, and two, a chance to keep starting. There are very few teams in the league where he's a starting point guard. And if you can say, hey, you've at least got a shot to come back here next year and compete for that spot again, that might be enough just to keep him around.
But wouldn't he have earned it?
I mean, it depends on who else they can bring in here.
Name me somebody else who wouldn't have. Who they gonna bring in?
That's a question. It seems whatever other offseason moves they could do. I would think as the incumbent who's played pretty well, he's got the leg up. I'm just saying you don't want to give a guy like, I guarantee you'll start here next year. But hey, I think he's got a pretty good shot of being the guy if he's back. And if he goes to Minnesota or Milwaukee or whoever else, he's not getting that. So
right.
That's it gives you a leg up in negotiations, I think, but it also, there's some risk inherent in doing that too. But Wizards fans, I think I've seen a lot of, well, if Minnesota throws in Leonard Miller, their first round pick from the G League Ignite, who's been destroying the G League, we'll get the deal done. I would do that too, but the Timberwolves are not going to do that. They're not trading their probably most exciting, like young talent that's not already established, because they've got a lot of bigs that make a lot of money and they're going to be cap constrained. They're going to need guys on cheap contracts to contribute for them and fill out the roster. So I can't see Minnesota wanting to throw in a player like that just to rent Tyus Jones potentially. It just doesn't seem realistic from their perspective. I hope I'm wrong. That deal I would do, but
right. I mean, from another team, it's only so much leverage, and there's some good point guards on other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, for the Wizards, how realistic is it that you're going to get a better point guard?
Yeah, it's not. Be a lot of DeLon Wright down the stretch, I think, here.
Yeah.
The last 30 games probably. That'll be the biggest one, I think. Like the Kuzma one, I feel pretty confident they're going to get good value for. It's, if you trade Tyus, what do you get for him? And right. I think the conventional thinking has been that they have to trade him, but I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't do it for nothing. Now, if you get a good fair deal, like, I wish him well, and best case scenario, like, best of luck to everybody involved here. But Brian Windhorst did the whole there's going to be a fire sale in Washington thing. I have maintained I don't think that's the case. I know you said that they're going to try to do that, but I also think this front office is smart enough to not just feel pressured into doing that if they're not going to get stuff back for it.
Well, they kind of did it to themselves a little bit, because they're like,
this roster.
Everybody knows they're trying to blow this whole thing up.
Right.
So now, me knowing that as another GM on another team, I'm like, well, let me go and negotiate like I'm at a garage sale trying to buy
exactly. I'm
like a radio. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. But you're telling other GMs, hey, we have like concert speakers, but we're selling them as transistor radios, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the problem,
Yeah.
right? You gotta let no, this is what we have, and we're selling it as what it is.
Mm-hmm. I think if you just don't answer calls on one of those guys or you let it go at the deadline, it maybe resets that, okay, these guys are, they're not going to act desperately like that. Maybe that kind of gives you a little leverage back in future negotiations.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see what that looks like. There's been some other reports that are floating around out there. Apparently, the Wizards were interested in Quentin Grimes of the New York Knicks. Grimes has drawn some interest from several teams ahead of the deadline. The Wizards are believed to be looking to add young talent and draft picks. ESPN recently reported that Washington's front office has a mandate from ownership to add more draft capital via via these upcoming trades. So that'll be interesting. If you're in New York, you probably want Gafford back. So is it Quentin Grimes and a pick of some sort for Daniel Gafford? I wouldn't be in a rush to trade Gafford either, personally. I liked Grimes coming out of the draft, but haven't seen enough there that I think that there's really a ton of upside left that you couldn't just get from Gafford having upside. I don't know.
You can't give up Gafford unless you get something. You got to first. You got to have a big.
Yeah, it'd be tough
you can't
rest of the year with just
I wouldn't
Bagley.
bank on Bagley.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Grimes. Oh, he's a great 3-point shooter. He's gonna spread the floor for you.
Mm-hmm. He's a solid
That's one thing. He's
player.
gonna spot up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing 3-point shooter. But outside of that,
Yeah.
where are you going to now get your rim protection from?
Yeah, it'd be ugly the rest of the year, I think, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if that's I don't think that's a good move.
I've heard a lot of if you can get something for Gafford, get something for Gafford. But I also think, and this, to your point, right? Like you need a center to make everybody else fit into the roles you want to see from them too. And if now they're playing with nobody behind them, it makes everybody else look worse the rest of the year. And
Well, not only that, it's tough to find a center. That's the most rare position out there. It's not it's a million point guards, it's a million shooting guards, a million threes. The market for centers and a decent center at that,
right. Yeah,
not
at least
even
competent.
good
Yeah.
center, a decent center
Right.
is tough.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? It's like shopping for fruit and everything is bad, and you and so while you have a pretty decent center, not a great center, but a decent above the now he's playing above the threshold.
Yeah.
Right. You might need to work with them and work along, build some things with them, but I wouldn't give them. I can't, I don't understand if you can get something for Gafford, get it. I don't get that one because the market percentages is scarce. The market for centers is scarce.
If somebody blows you away with an offer that you can't refuse, then you can't refuse. But again, he's another guy I would not be in a hurry to try to move just to move him. And this mandate notion from ownership just to get picks makes me a little nervous because you still have to have a competent enough team to build habits and things like that moving forward.
What are you going to do in the meantime, having a team playing with no center?
Yeah, it'd be tough. It'd be tough.
Like, how are you going to look? Like, how that's looking?
It'd be
you could say, all right, we playing with Bagley. It's cool.
But not just Bagley. It can't be him alone.
Nah, man, don't work.
Especially while he's beat up. I mean, that's a tough ask. And it'd be different if you had like a good young big sitting on the G League team that you're just waiting to give minutes to or something. But they don't have that. If anything, I'd be going out and trying to find a big, not give the ones I have away.
Right now, Bagley is not a better center than Gafford.
Yeah, they're both about the same, just kind of different, I think.
I think Gafford offers a little bit more.
Okay.
I think Bagley, a lot of his what he's been doing and what his production has been off energy.
Yeah, effort and hustle and second rotation bigs. Yeah,
he's skilled. I'm not taking just the fact that he's not skilled away from him.
A lot of hustle putbacks and stuff.
There's a lot of hustle. I don't think he's nearly naturally athletic as Gafford.
No, Gafford could put you through the rim. I mean, like he's next level.
So I would rather add what's happening now is adding effort to a naturally athletic player, right? Effort and and pressure to a naturally athletic player than trying to make a less athletic player my main guy.
If Gafford's like, if the feeling is he's a lower tier starting center in the NBA or fringe starting center,
get back up. No, not Gafford. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bagley, but but Gafford that's sort of the conventional thinking is he's a lower end starting center. But at least, okay, if my starter's not going to be great, I'd rather have like a really good platoon of two guys that are close to the same level. And then there's not much drop off. And now that guy can feast against second units. Like, this is the best rotation of bigs that they've had in a while here. Neither of them are world beaters, but having two good solid dudes, yes, do more of this.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, it gives you hope. We pretty much got something that we can work with in that 5 position.
Yeah, I agree.
That we can move. If we can build around this and put some monsters or some firepower around all this, and some defensive concepts, but we've kind of got something that may work right there in one position.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's nothing else out there that with a combo. It's tough. I mean, it's like I said, the center position is scarce. There's not that many players.
Yep.
And not that many impactful players that can be that impactful. You now went from the bottom to 15th in offensive rebounding off of one trade.
I know. Yeah, that's big for them.
Come on, bro. Some things you got to recognize.
Yeah. Just now let's find the perimeter version of that. That's what I'd be trying to go out to get, but I wouldn't be giving up the bigs I just got to do that either. Like, unless I knew this is a guy, like I was dead set on this dude is going to blow up or, whatever the case may be, but I'm with you. Speaking of one guy that's hopefully about to blow up, got a couple Bilal Coulibaly related things here for you. Coulibaly was asked about getting to run point more under Brian Keefe and getting to kind of facilitate offense, and he's been bringing the ball up a little bit more. I don't think he's doing like a whole lot of actual playmaking, but they're letting him dribble the ball across half court. And I did that against San Antonio, did it a couple times against the Clippers. And he said, that's what I'm working on, my handle, being able to get to the rim, put pressure on the rim so I can pass the ball out. That's what we're trying to do. I mean, I think it's helping us so far. And, he tries to do that. Like we've talked about the whole time, he tries to make the right reads. He's not like going to do anything like overly fancy or whatever, but just being solid, I think that's good enough for him and letting him have some on-ball reps that way. It's a good way to let him touch the ball at the very least and get a feel. And I'm all for them doing more of this.
I think they're trying to figure out ways to get him more engaged offensively, giving more of a contribution to the team offensively, right? Like bringing the same, because they know he can, because he has. And that kind of dialed down a lot. Right. But he's still so impactful, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So you see that. So so now they're probably considering how can we get him engaged more offensively? Well, his natural position is this. Right. What he'd been doing naturally when he was playing over, in Paris, in France, was point guard. Right. So if we can kind of get him in his position where he feels natural in, he can have more opportunities and to score more. In the end of the day, unless he's getting downhill or unless he's seen opportunities to do that, it's just like you said, it's just him walking the ball past half court, which actually is less helpful for him. He just have to be more aggressively offensively just anyway, right?
He's going to be more athletic than most of the people guarding him. Like just try to use your first step and your length to get by dudes.
You got to take that first step, that whatever foot the highest.
Yeah.
Attack that foot, attack that leg, and keep going and get down. Right? Maybe you may not have the shot when you get down there, but you better make sure you can get to the line, right? And that's what it's about. It's not always about having the ball in your hand, but I get why they're doing it because, like you said, he's not getting many touches.
No, yeah, you got to try something.
So if you got the ball in your hand, actually, you say, well, now I can consider myself the first option.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I've seen a couple like, oh, he wasn't very efficient in this game or whatever. I do not give one shit about Bilal's efficiency in any of these games right now. It just, I don't care. It's more about the process and what he does. This Clippers game, he had 19 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And my favorite stat of that entire night is he took 16 shots. He made 8 of them. Cool. But 16 shots is awesome. I want to see that every night. The whole rest of the year.
Right. Because eventually he's going to start making more.
Yeah.
Right. You need him to be aggressive. Right. So it's great. Now he's taking those shots we need him to take.
Yeah.
Now he's going to figure out, okay, which ones are better shots. Right. I'm going through the process. Oh, I took 15. Which out of those 15 was a good, like, better shot for me to take? Yep. Okay, how did I mess up on some of them I missed? Which ones were bad shots? All right, now I'm going through the process but you got to go through all of that to get to where you need to be. But you're not going to change your aggressiveness. And we need that from him because he's a hell of a defender. I mean, he's ripping James Harden.
It's true.
Man, I mean,
he was in passing lanes and stuff.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. And when people talk about that, like, oh, he taking too many shots,
cool.
You don't understand basketball because you don't see what basketball eyes see with this kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, as long as they're reasonable shots. Yeah. I mean, take as many as you can get. Right. Or even if some of them aren't great, I'd still rather them take them than not.
Yeah.
You mentioned him like stripping James Harden on the one. That was cool. I think the most noticeable thing when you play Kawhi Leonard and even Harden to some extent, like they're strong as shit. And this is Bilal trying to compete with those guys with just length and effort. Imagine when he gets strong enough to hold ground on dudes like that. I don't know how anyone's going to score on him.
Hold ground on Kawhi Leonard. Sorry.
Well, you know what I mean, but like
he got that wiry frame.
Yeah, other normal people. I mean, like if he can just do this enough to pester them as a scrawny player, imagine him defending normal human beings. Non-Kawhis where like generationally tough to move off their spots. Like that's gonna be a nightmare for people. Like you're gonna go, oh shit, Coulibaly's guarding me tonight. Like the Wizards have not had one of those guys in a very long time, and that's what I see when I watch him. Like we were pretty close for that one, a couple rows behind the bench, and or a couple rows behind courtside, and a couple times like Harden was like tugging on people, and like there's all these little tricks like all the veteran guys have, and Kawhi was actually holding Kyle Kuzma's wrist at certain points. Like this is Coulibaly doing things without any of the little tricks and stuff here too. Right. Like he's gonna get smarter, he's gonna get stronger. He's just like naturally kind of a menace right now, and even if guys beat him, he's still someone you have to account for. Like you're looking around, like if I throw this pass, can this dude pick this off? Like I think he's in people's heads a little bit already.
If I'm Bilal, I'm calling some vets. Yeah, I'm calling like the pesty vets.
Yeah.
The Patrick Beverly. Right.
What can I learn?
What's all the tricks?
Yeah.
Right. I need to know all the tricks. I'm watching Kobe's defense. All the tricks, right?
Yeah.
And going from there because if I'm the Wizards, I'm forcing him to be more vocal defensively, right? Because when you have a person who can rise and play defense like that, he can ignite the entire team defensively if he's more vocal and he demands, even though I don't care how young he is, if he demands them to play with more the same enthusiasm defensively.
Yeah, I like that. He's getting some recognition for it, which is cool to see. Just per Wizards Muse on Twitter, Coulibaly's rookie ranks, he's 7th in points, 6th in rebounds, 9th in assists, 5th in steals, 5th in blocks, 9th in threes made, which is awesome. And because of that, he's been named to the rookie Rising Stars team for All-Star Weekend. So I don't know, when was the last time the Wizards had one of those too? Like it's just It's not a thing we've done particularly well the last, I don't know, decade realistically. So that's also just cool to see.
It's deserved.
Yeah.
Congratulations, and
Yeah.
it's deserved, and he deserved it in a completely different way,
Mhm.
right? And it's great that he's recognized for it because he offers so much. He offers a lot of those intangible things, all those things that don't show up on a stat sheet,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes, a lot of times, that gets overlooked so much.
Yeah.
But with him, it's it's so enlightening
Mhm.
because you're like, it's for some reason with him, you see it. It's right there in your face, right?
Yep.
A lot of that time it's overlooked, right? Because it don't show up on the stat sheet. With him, you like, oh, it's it's a lot of potential in this kid, you know.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing because he's doing things that you haven't seen in the NBA, an NBA player do in a long time.
Sure.
Like they don't treasure those type of things anymore,
Yep.
right? So it's good that he's recognized, but it's also good what he's being recognized for.
Yeah. Playing the right way is or trying to play the right way
In
at
the
least.
right way.
Yeah. That's big. And I'm excited to see him go against his peers here and these other young guys and to see how he looks on a court with all of them because I think he's going to hold up pretty well.
Yeah, he will. He definitely will.
Uh, Last question I got for you here. Sean asked, just how much winning in college comes into play when drafting for a player? If you were going to be one of these GMs on the Wizards here, and you're looking at prospects for next year's team, do you consider college success rate
I
or
do.
how much? Yeah,
I do. Depends on the particular player, but yeah, I do.
yeah,
Um, Reason being is if it's one of the main players,
hmm
they're offering some sort of leadership. They have some sort of um, passion to win.
hmm
Winning means something to them.
sure,
Competing means something to them. Um, um, Passing that on to their players and making their players play, their teammates play, means something to them,
yeah,
right? That coaches are coaches. Coaches are good. Coaches give you a system. Coaches in college yell at you and motivate you,
sure,
but when at the end of the day, coaches not on the floor. They can't put
mm
the ball in the basket. Who's now going to be the second coach that's 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 that fire that's pushing their teammates on,
yeah,
that's diving for the 50-50s, that's getting everybody engaged and holding everybody accountable,
sure,
right? Those type of things lead to a winning team,
hmm
right? You can't, if you don't have that and you just have coaches, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have that type of player,
sure,
you don't have a good team.
yep,
So those winning teams have at least 1 to 2 of those type of players.
hmm
So I'm looking for that player because that's infectious.
yep. If I'm like torn between two guys, I'm gonna take the one that's had more success and has like actually achieved some things. Like I think that's been one of the things that hurt like these G League Ignite guys. Like their team was shit last year. Their team is kind of shit this year, and we haven't seen those guys come in and be like particularly good from the jump. Honestly, most of the Ignite players have kind of underachieved relative to what we thought they would be. Like Jalen Green has underwhelmed. He's just kind of an empty stats guy. Like Kaminga, I think is better and would be better. It would put up better numbers on another team, and I think he's trying to do more of the right things. But that he's still young and raw too. Like you've got Scoot Henderson struggling out of the gate, and the guys this year, Ron Holland and Modest Buzelis, like I don't know, they just had a lost year basically. So if it were me and I was like on a reasonable level with these guys in terms of tier or prospect, I would take Jacoby Walter or somebody winning or Rob Dillingham or one of these guys that I've seen go out and get buckets and try to win games in front of loud crowds. Like, the Ignite, you've played against crowds of 120 people all year. And if you're playing at Kentucky against Tennessee last night, Dillingham's going for 35 points. He might be undersized or whatever, but the dude's putting up buckets in the hardest place to win in college basketball, or one of the couple hardest venues in college basketball. And he's doing it with like 15,000 people screaming "F you" the whole time. Like that carries weight. It should carry weight.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's funny. I had a conversation with. I have a lot of friends who were college coaches,
Mhm.
and we were talking about certain players that at their schools.
Sure.
And I was like, why would you take this player over that player? I think this
Yeah.
player has more intangibles. He can skills, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, but this other player is a winner. Like, how
Mm.
do you determine a winner? He said he won
Right.
in high school.
Yeah,
He
right.
won in the EYBL. He
Yeah.
won on this team.
Yeah.
He said, when you see a player go to a team and that team automatically becomes a winner,
Yeah. They get better right away, right? Yeah.
not, he said, it's that player.
Yep.
He said, man, he may not be better than this player who's lighting it up, scoring 20 a night,
Yeah.
all this, but I'm going to bank on a winner before I bank on anything. And if everywhere that player goes, the team automatically becomes a winner. He
Mhm.
said that kid is a winner. It's
Yep.
hard to find winners.
Sure. And like Dillingham, for example, they lost last night. He's still a winning player because he was the guy going shot for shot against a really good Tennessee defense, keeping them in it. They didn't win the game. He's still a winner to me. Like that, I think that's how I would look at some of these guys. And their record's obviously going to be good and things like that too. But I appreciate Sean for the question. Locked on Law said in the chat, 6'3" guards are undersized now. If Rob Dillingham measures 6'3", I will run naked around Capital One Arena. So just take that for what you will. He's standing next to a guy in Zakai Ziegler for Tennessee last night that they list at 5'9". If they list you at 5'9", you're 5'7".
Yeah.
And Rob Dillingham was like a couple inches taller than him at most.
And you 5'7" with shoes.
Yeah, exactly. John, did you ever see Dillingham on the AAU circuit at all? Is there any way this guy's 6'3"?
He's not 6'3". Nowhere close.
He's like 6 foot, right? I
Nowhere
mean,
close. Yeah.
yeah. So, and he's also 130 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
And he's a hooper. I mean, I'll give him credit. I'm
No,
not
he's
trying to shit
open.
on him, but
But he's
yeah,
miniature.
yeah, he's undersized. I
Yeah.
promise you that one. Locked on Law. All right, Jahadi, I think that's all I got for you here. Anything you want to end us with or anything?
No, man, I definitely enjoyed you today.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Wizards fans, you'll listen to this one before the game here. Let's just not boo. Let's not be those people. Let's be better. Let's be bigger. We'll
Absolutely.
remember the good times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. That's been Believe in Wizards. You guys know the drill. Rate, review, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, click that little like button for us. Click the subscribe button. We love all that stuff. We appreciate you. We're presented by betonline.ag, and we will catch y'all next time.